Hello, everybody. Welcome on the day 5 of the Frogeex online challenge. Today, we have our topic, which is how to grow your business. So let me quickly recap what we were talking in the previous days about. So first day, we were talking about how to reach your goals, how to make them meaningful, and what does it mean to actually have a meaningful goal? Are they big enough to motivate you? And do you have also the right commitment to reach your goals? If you don't have it, usually it's a problem of uncertainty. So just to avoid this, definitely deep dive on your product, your company. What is the uncertainty about? On day 2, we were talking about how to take massive action. So the question came up: how much action is required to actually achieve success? And the answer is massive action. Now, how do you distinguish where you are from the various levels of action? We gave you some tips, some indication of how to focus your energy, or what are the signals when you're basically in the massive action stage, and where you are just kind of accelerating what you do, just being more productive. So frequency is before greatness. Apparently, we need to start doing many things and then becoming even excellent at them. For this, you need discipline and focus. So that was on day 2. On day 3, we were talking about how to build your brand. So what is the key element over there is understanding what problem do you solve for your customers. That is the basic for your messaging, for all the communications. It's the base for your avatar, understanding what your client is about, how do they speak, how do they explain problems that your product is solving for them. And the goal of marketing or branding is by nature to be known for what you do, to position the brand, to position yourself as an expert in the field, and to be considered when anybody has a problem or has a thought related to this area. The idea is that you pop up as the company that can solve this, that can approach this. On day number 4, we were talking about how to monetize your value. So just a quick wrap up on this one. Important is to understand why should anybody buy from you. So what are the reasons, what are the motivations, what are the triggers for, and what makes also your company unique compared to the market, to the rest of market. We also mentioned that monetization will not go without an offer. So offer is a mandatory thing that you need to have when you talk to a customer, whether they express explicitly interest to have your offer or not. It's important that you always provide information about how much is your service, what is included in the service, in the product. Give them information, transparent information about your terms, conditions, etc. Be professional and just work with it as a basic. And then, of course, it's an attitude, because if you have a large pipeline, it can happen that sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. And sometimes it's just a long-term thing, because we know business is a relationship. Same as any other, you need to invest time and energy and just follow up, come back, have a genuine contact, and be interested in, what your counterpart is about. So, and that leads us today to day number 5, and we're going to talk about how to grow your business. So without any further ado, I would just kick it off. Would you like to scale your business? I would just start with the question: would you like to scale your business, or are you just thinking, we are too small for what we want to do, what we want to achieve? So, and as we work closely also with the 10X community, according to Brandon Dawson, which is a member of the Cardone Venture team, or one of the leading coaches from the Cardone Venture team, a business scaling expert that is helping thousands of businesses every year worldwide. He has defined 4 stages of a business, which is start, build, grow, and exit. Now, for him, the formula of scaling is very simple, and that is as follows. You take what is working, that has already proven results, and you duplicate your success by growing your team, investing in your team. And how do you do this? You need to have extremely well-aligned team internally, so everybody goes after the same vision, after the same goal, and can succeed through your business or through the business. So how do you do this? You need to also ensure that people are educated, or your employees are educated, they have the right tools, and also it's easy for them to succeed. So you give them basically everything that is needed to reach their goals. And if, again, as mentioned before, they can achieve it through the business. They can achieve their personal goals through the business. What you need to consider as well is maturity of the owner and also of the employees. So what you already can kind of plan for is a certain development path. So everybody grows with the business as it grows. You need to also, engage your employees in this. And I'm really curious about, hearing your thoughts or maybe challenges that you have. But before we go into the, kind of middle part of the session today, I'm going to share with you just maybe some factors that can influence how successful your, growing stage can be. And this is first factor is accountability. So as an owner or as an employee, I mean, how much are you accountable? How much responsible do you feel for your success, the success of your company, for the success of your employees, or, what do you want to achieve, or how much do you want to impact the life of others? So this is a strong element that can drive you forward. Second factor is spending versus investing. So it's being also very efficient and also looking really at the contribution of cost towards the goal which your company has as an objective. So what do you do? Do you just spend or do you invest? Very interesting topic. Like to hear your thoughts on this. And the third is the multiplier, which is people. So apparently, we mentioned it, internal alignment, having same vision, having same goals, having same values, that's important. So you have a good cooperation in the team. Alignment also between professional, personal, and financial goals of your employees and those goals of the company. So how much can your employees actually achieve their own goals through achieving the goals of your company? If you have this, you have a super motivated team on board that's going to help you to basically pull forward, and you're going to pull together. So this is very important. And the last but not least, it's a bonus point which we are going to talk about in the second part of our call today, which is sustainability. So we hear more and more about the triple bottom line. So everybody basically has a pledge, or many companies, and it's an increasing number every day, has a pledge around people, planet, and profit. That's the standard. And in some cases, you even hear purpose. So what's the mission? What's the kind of goal that brings you together? So these are the elements that can influence how driven you are, how fast you can go in the growth phase. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I mean, Rich, would you like to maybe take it up and share a little bit your perspective on that?
Sure. How are you, John? Yeah, really interesting again. I think these sessions have been really useful because it's been a short time. There's been some really useful intellectual discussions, and then I've had some time to kind of reflect on that on the rest of the day. So it's been really interesting, absorbing the advice that I've got from yourself and Alejandro, and there's been some really, really useful advice throughout the whole week. What you're saying here is really interesting. Yes, accountability and responsibility. I think it's really important for business owners to really understand that, and then for senior managers as well, because as owners and senior directors, I think we bring the weather a little bit. Mm-hmm. So if we are frustrated and stressed and don't have a clear vision, then that can trickle down to the rest of our employees, and it starts a storm. It can start a storm. So I think it's really important for owners and senior management to think about that. Efficiency, yes. I really like efficiency with effectiveness. Try and think of that, because I think a lot of times employees, managers, business owners can feel that they're being efficient. Oh, I'm doing this really efficiently, but actually it's not the thing that they should be doing. So I think it's marrying those two things together, multiplying with employees that share that vision. That is definitely something that we're trying to instill at Green Dawn. And we're trying to do that through sustainability values, which is quite funny, this extra purpose. I do think it's something that we can rally around as business owners, senior directors, and instill that vision for our employees to kind of get everybody swinging in the same vision. You know, I think what Alejandro was discussing yesterday about really trying to find that clarity of your future. And is that clarity of the future shared by owners, senior directors, sales staff, the rest of your employees? I think it's a really interesting exercise to work through, and I am trying to manifest that now over the next couple of days. So it's been really, really useful. Really useful. What?
So, and do you plan maybe a session, or what do you want to do after, you know, going out, hearing all this interesting stuff and having all these interesting questions and exchanges? I mean, do you have any action that you are taking up, or, you know, what do you want to do when you go, I don't know, Monday, now it's Friday. Eventually you're also, you know, spending some minutes with us right now. How do you want to convert it or manifest it into action?
Yes, certainly. I've actually finished my focus period for the day already, just before this meeting. I have been pulling together everything that is required for a renovated business plan that we can actually take to the bank for investing. We've never done that. We've been building this business from scratch, let's say, and now we're trying to really kind of hone in and focus on one set. So there's a lot to it. Obviously, there's a marketing strategy, there's missions, there's values, there's competitive analysis, there's a PR strategy, there's a digital marketing strategy, there's a delivering strategy. There's a lot to it, and it's taken us this long to try and get everything together. Now, going through all of this, I think there's one thing missing, and that is this clarification vision of the future. So I've pulled everything together, and that is my last gap. So now what I intend to do is put all of my research towards the business owner and leave it with this one exercise for him to do, to start doing, start thinking about that vision of the future. Are we aligned? And I've said that that is just the last piece that we need potentially to really clarify. And I think Alejandro's point was really, really useful. Without that clarified vision, how can you expect the rest of the employees to know the direction? And I've certainly found frustrations just in my senior position to, you know, we're trying to work out our place in the market and what persona to go after, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very tempting to think, is this the right way? Is this the right way? Is this the right way? Is this? But by changing direction so much, we don't actually move forward efficiently as much as I would like the company. And I think we're really at that point now. And I think Alejandro's point this week has been really, really useful, and has made me realize that that crystallization of the vision of the future is a really important point. Do we want to grow and exit, or do we want to grow and dominate, or do we want to grow and collaborate with other sustainable companies within our industry?
Beautiful thoughts that you bring up, and actually it's just the right moment where you mentioned this around you know, having a refreshed or renewed business plan, you know, trying to get some additional resources and to, you know, scale further, because the second part is actually dedicated towards sustainability and innovation. So we know it's a new thing, it's a new topic. Now, there was a beautiful research from Deloitte done in 2020, and there is also a beautiful tool developed. It's called Doblin. You will have it included in the, you know, in the sheet with the online challenge afterwards. And they identified potential to innovate a business model which has 10 elements, but 3 main categories. So let's start maybe with the 3. This is eventually something where you can, which you can also utilize for your business plan, because you indicated some elements of that in what you just said. So let's look at it a little bit more deeper. So in these 3 elements, we talk about configuration, which is basically your business model. It's the offering, which is your product, and it's the marketing, or it's the experience that the user or customer has with your brand or with your product. Now, when we talk about configuration, you have like 4 channels where you can innovate. It's the profit model, It's basically new ways how to find new ways how to make money. We know that we are moving away from, moving away. I mean, it's the kind of pulse or it's the zeitgeist. No, we know that the consumption is very high. It's still accelerating, and we're moving a little bit. You see already the first indications that we're moving away from owning to renting stuff, for example, or not only producing, using, and disposing things, but how to kind of keep them circulating, how to reuse, recover the materials or the containers, whether you call it containers or pots or whatever it's used for, cosmetics, for example, and the different other concepts. So it's an interesting element. Second element is around the network. So partnering up to create value with companies that are in related segments or in segments where you can utilize channels, components of a service, kind of complement each other, or it's like a little bit more of a kind of also not really modular look at it, but really cooperating just to, for example, utilize a piece of waste that you have from one service and utilizing it in another process. Next part is around structures. So when we talk about the structures, is the focus on existing assets to generate revenue. So just pardon me for a second. Okay, my apologies, I'm back. Focusing on existing assets to generate revenue means, I mean, we were not talking so much about the examples, but let's start with the profit model. So it's basically, we have companies that were selling clothes before, now they move away, for example, designer clothes, quite expensive. You have a subscription, you pay a subscription or 70. We have a example with the company over here, Rent Runway. Maybe you know them yourself. It's a subscription of 70 euro per month. You can rent 4 pieces. You wear them as long as you want. And then you give them back at the station, at the take back station. It's going to be all taken care of. You can take another 4 and keep them as long as you need to. So that is an example when we talk about the profit model, just sourcing your money or getting the revenue from somewhere else. Of course, also kind of alert. A lot of the innovation that you see also over here, or the concepts or the examples, are companies that are maybe not 100% perfect. Some of them are sound names that you know by, sleeping, cover dies, whatever, you would just recognize them. But that's the stage where we are. Very few products are 100% sustainable, 100% green. But the problem is we cannot stop and wait for them being perfect. We heard it before. Don't wait for the perfection, start doing and improve on the way. So this is also a little bit the spirit. Be open, be transparent where there are gaps. Be open with emissions, with materials, with supply chain. Try to solve it and go into the details. So let's go into the network example, and that is a win-win partnership or win-win relationship with somebody that you can create a value with. You can share resources, talent, assets, whatever. There is a nice example of a company which is actually brewing beer from bread waste. So they partner up with a bakery that has waste bread, so they do not need to have new resources. They can just reutilize this. They are generating amazing profits still, because it's just also a marketing angle that you can communicate. And on the top, they are efficient and they are saving tons, 50 millions of tons going to waste in UK alone. When we talk about bread, that's the number that I have here, and what they manage to reuse annually, what they manage to reuse or reduce as in terms of waste are 2 million slices of bread. Now we don't have tons there, but certainly it's already an indication. It's a starting project. When we talk about the configuration that was focused on existing assets to generate revenue, so you look basically on what you have. For example, you have charging stations, and you can definitely tell more about, what's the potential, the structure, the strategy, etc. I would not go too much into the detail of this. It's just using the existing tangible and intangible assets of the company generating revenue already now and trying to combine it or convert it into another channel of revenue. We have a company example over here, which is called Liquid Space, and what they do is basically they have they allow companies basically to hire out space which is not occupied within the building. So it's a kind of of course it's a matter of approach. You can say, okay, it's our company building, I don't want to hire that out, or you just want to be efficient, utilize it as a resource, and you're just gonna say, okay, let's rent it out and let have some also external people coming in for this as a kind of co-working space, etc. It's a very similar type of approach like Airbnb. Also 6 million transaction, and when they started the business, it was in 2019. They got a funding of 25 million to start the company, so it's already a kind of indication also. And they have paying customers, 109,000 customers, which is amazing. The fourth part, there we are still in configuration. So we are still in the business. No, we are in the next part, which is, no, we are in process. My apologies. We are still in configuration. We are still in the business model. So when we talk about process, it's reducing the impact of production methods. Process innovation. So without changing the product itself, you can still have efficiencies and sustainability elements that you can leverage out of how just something is produced. I mean, you know it yourself. We have a very nice example, whether it's technique, it's equipment, it can be a software, just to maximize the efficiency, reduce waste. There was also a recent study, or maybe, yeah, there was a recent study from 2021 on what is impacting customer behavior and what buyers pay attention to. And one of the key factors, I think it's top 3, and we're going to have an infographic on that to follow within Frogeex, is how much does a company reduces waste within their supply chain. So you have already the zero to landfill approach, which goes nicely, hand in hand. It belongs basically into your communication strategy. It certainly has its place over there, also in the business model. So, and there is an example with Diageo. Maybe you know them. So what they are doing, basically, maybe you are also aware of this. They are utilizing basically the waste heat or waste steam that is being produced during brewing and distilling. I mean, they work with whiskey and other brewing processes. They use it to as a renewable source of energy. Have you heard about them?
I haven't heard of that exact example. I've heard of Diageo. I used to be a cocktail bartender, so I definitely know about Diageo. Yeah. But circular economy is really, really cool. I've recently done, I studied horticulture. I went to university as an adult and studied horticulture, and that's where I really got into my sustainability as well, really. Wow. And there's one really good example in horticulture. I can't remember what it's called, but they use waste CO2 and heat energy from it's an energy production station anyway, and their gas, their waste in heat and CO2 goes to enrich a glass house growing tomatoes and other fruits. Mm-hmm. So the CO2 is then absorbed by the plants, and it's it's this circular economy. I think that is super. Really, really cool. Circular economy, I think, being honest, just talk about your comments in kind of EV charging, where we're at. I think it's really interesting because obviously EV charging, we're taking part in this wider goal of carbon reduction. But we do need to look at it at a micro and macro level. It's, just because it takes part in carbon reduction doesn't mean that it's all good and it's all perfect right now. There's many steps that we need to go. And I think partnering with other companies with this sustainable mindset that is kind of core to their vision enables you to trust them to innovate for you. right? So by looking at manufacturers of EV charging equipment that are either UK based, Europe based, perhaps US, that have strong sustainable values that align with ours, we can trust them to continually innovate in a sustainable manner. So
Amazing.
that's quite interesting, isn't it? There's a lot of things coming into circular economy in EV chargers. So we try on projects, we're trying to be zero waste to landfill. We want that to spread out to our supply chain. A big problem in EV charging is end of life care of this equipment. What happens to that equipment when it stops working? Generally, there's, you know, they say, well, it's 7 years and then potentially they need to be replaced. Well, what happens to that material at the end of that 7 years? Charger companies are looking at ways that chargers can become part of the circular economy. So can their component parts be used for maintenance of further chargers? Can you design chargers where you only need to dig concrete once, and if a site needs to add more chargers in the future, you can do that without further disturbing? So, you know, it's this win-win co-creation ideas. I'll just make one quick point about waste management that I, you know, from university, I think it's a really important point that we need to remember, is that people have heard of the hierarchy: reduce, reuse, recycle, and then avoid landfill. But I like to make sure that people understand that it's a hierarchy and there's an order. There's an order to this. We can't recycle our way out of the problem. So the first step is to reduce. And any new technology that comes without the thought of reducing consumption is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. For me, I think we need to concentrate on the reducing, the reusing, and recycling has to be our kind of last step for me. What do you think?
I cannot agree more, actually, because we had also a recent discussion on plastic, and for plastic, it's like, you know, 90% of it is basically not working. So when you statistically know we recycle for 20 years, let's say 20 years, we do some kind of a recycling and 90% doesn't work, it's a no-brainer, it doesn't work. So you are certainly, you have a point. I love that point, what you mentioned around reduction. And it's indeed the channel. We are in retail, you are in retail, it's a hype around EVs. So, but I think you can really gain a position on the market, also with the strategy, with the communication, with the approach of, you see the challenge, you see, you know, what are the possibilities. So in terms of, you know, this innovating your concept and looking for partners and collaborators on the way, I think that's something that will certainly prove the business concept to be there also in let's say 3-5 years time. Because yeah, no, I mean, for sure, because also the number of players is just increasing. So it's just increasing. Whatever you look, whichever channel you look, whether it's vertical gardens, whether it's lights, whether it's solar panels, whether it's building materials, everything is increasing. Many of them are not perfect. And that's also our job of Frogeex. That's what we see, to show transparently what is over there, to show transparently also in terms of numbers. I mean, we don't have any super aligned, globally agreed on standard that we would just stick to. There are discussions, there are some recommendations. You mentioned the GRI reporting approach, which is great, but for many it's maybe a little bit too much. So definitely we are for transparency and showing also what type of technology innovation is on the market, whether it's also Asian. I mean, for you, it's maybe not Asian. EVs are, you know, but there are certainly some models that you can also utilize. I mean, there are also subscription models, and, you know, all this mobility thing is going into kind of also interesting field. So, but also one thing, I mean, yesterday you mentioned a very important element, which was accessibility. I totally love that. It's a big problem for many people, having sustainability as an accessible thing. So many people will not buy anything that is ecological or sustainable because it's just more expensive. So this is a big point that you made, and thanks a lot for highlighting that. And today it was also about supply chain. So you mentioned something around you would like to have it distributed in the supply chain. So this is also the whole topic around scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. And we know that in majority of the companies which have a maybe more complex supply chain, it's 70 or more percent coming from scope 3, which is, you know, your suppliers. So with this is we had a recent discussion as well on you know, structure of supply chain. How can you ensure that you have actually a sustainable supply chain? And the answer was very simple by also a company in this field working worldwide and active worldwide. You have to build it. And I found it so fascinating because it's a thing in which we are together. So sustainability, I mean, I also today had a very interesting discussion on this exchange on risk management, ESG, and whatever, you know, the framework is. It's a problem which we are all in, and we don't yet see the collaboration. This is what you just mentioned. Let's look for partners. How can we do it? Still be on the market? What's the format? How can we, you know, ensure we are there? This is not yet standard or the understanding, and that's where we need to go to be able to survive this, to be able to make it. And how can you do it in the supply chain? I mean, if you have a vision, if you have, you know, reporting techniques, if you have methods, I mean, the recommendation which we got from the expert in the supply chain was work with your suppliers and help them to find a solution. Don't push it hard on them like, this is what we need, this is what you do, and do it how you want. Don't do it like this, because it's also your partners, it's people behind that, it's connections, communities, people, families, you know, all connected to this. So it's worth to invest the time and energy and look for a solution together. Give them options, give them a horizon, you know, we need to do it all, we know it, but start steadily to look for a solution also within your supply chain. So that was the tip. Would you like to add something, Rich, to this, or can I just quickly run through the rest of the? No,
you surely can. There's just one thing that I would like to say, like, you know, there's some companies out there that are really inspirational in terms of sustainability and waste management. Honda being one, are zero waste. Can you believe that? Making cars and there's zero waste, but they don't do that just because it has a marketing element and you know, they're going to benefit. They think it's a good thing to do in the world. They're saving money. They're more efficient, right? So this is where sustainability is great for the planet. It's great for society. It's great for your business. You know, it's going to make you more money. You're going to save waste. You're going to generate new revenue. You're going to. I think that it's manifold, the benefits of sustainability in your business.
It's a dramatic approach, just to add to your point, because I was witness. I had a very personal experience where I was a witness of people working in restaurants and being pushed. I mean, you hear the stories, you see the posts of, you know, food being thrown away. High level quality food, good food produced on that day being thrown away, paid, I mean, quite some amount of money for, you know, like half empty containers that cannot just, you know, producing methane and decompose on their own somewhere in the backyard. They need to be driven away to the landfill. This is happening. Companies pay for that money, and it's food that could be redistributed. So it's really, that's the stage we are in, and we believe it's efficient. So certainly it's time to optimize. It's a lot of potential to optimize. So let's go into the last part. I mean, we have few, but I'm just going to go very quickly through that and looking forward to your feedback. Product performance. So apparently improving. How is your product performing in terms of emissions, resources, energy? So that's, you know, always better. I mean, we have many examples of, I don't know, cosmetic companies that switch from, you know, liquid, leaving out bottles into, for example, soap bars, shampoo bars, and they boom like crazy because, you know, they just got on the pulse, and it's also practical. You can travel with that, and really the element of this closed recycling loop, for example, having containers that are refillable, that's really kind of, you know, coming home now. I mean, we see that more and more, whether it's detergents, whether it's, washing powder or, liquids of whatever kind of food. So you see that. Next part is product system. So how products work together. So this is something really that is kind of more modular understanding of what your product is. And it's really, how can you combine it potentially with cooperating with another company that has another element or component that you can utilize, etc. And then we go into the last part, which is around experience. So, improving the service, all the touch points surrounding your product, and how the user sees and experience the brand. So you can also look at over there what can be improved. I think that's the example with the closed recycling loop, that you basically have another brand which you cooperate with. There is also another element in terms of experience, how you channel your products out, how you distribute them, and you can also innovate this. So there is a very nice example. I think it's a Chilean startup, and they also provide refillable detergents. They cooperate, or they have an app, rather to say in this way, they have an app. They basically deliver refillable, or it's like an on-demand service via app. You can just request having your detergents or washing powder being refilled. They deliver it to you. The price is lower than in the market, in the supermarket. So it's already a huge, motivation. And in addition to that, they target, especially this is in regards to your accessibility point, they target low-income households. So it's really something that you offer for this segment. And there is another element, I'm not quite sure if that would be in any way relevant to you, which is called packaging as a wallet. So basically on every item of packaging, you have a code. I mean, this was discussed many times for furniture companies. Why is it so difficult when you have big boxes for furniture that you can eventually put together yourself, and there are design elements where you can just maybe do a carton. I'm not quite sure if this is the right English word, but it's, this hard paper furniture that is also being sold. I mean, you have many designers that are dedicated in this field. So it's just a matter of designing an element of your packaging, making it either as something you can pay with, coins, points, whatever. So this is something that is also quite useful. Then we talk about the brand, so transparency and representation. Now, there are big brands like H&M, Danone, etc., which have initiatives to reduce their emissions, to change the packaging. I mean, Danone, I think they issued just recently this recyclable packages for the yogurts and for their dairy products. However, it's important to really be transparent about what you do, what also is possible within your reach, why, etc. So it's a mix, and it's a very also dangerous zone for communication, for marketing, because it can in the end also harm you a lot if you don't deliver on the promise, and it's going to be a very hard payback. I mean, reputation harm is really big for such reasons. And then there is customer engagement. So when we talk about, for example, there is a nice example from Patagonia. You can have like personalized or memorable or automated experiences that you connect to the users, to the customers. So it can have a different form. For example, Patagonia had a campaign, let's call it a campaign. It was called The Cleanest Line. That was basically a kind of series of thrill seekers that were having some kind of posts and contributions in terms of video on their lifestyle, their garments which they wear from Patagonia, and how durable they are, etc., and how long they can wear it. There was another campaign where I mean, maybe you saw it yourself, where Patagonia was aggressively basically marketing that people should not buy on a black what is it, Friday? I'm not quite sure. Was it Black Friday, Black Monday? I'm not quite sure.
Black Friday, yeah. And they had the campaign, do not buy this shirt
Yes.
or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
So, I mean, so this is the type of marketing where they also do not have a perfect thing, but they boom with this. They grow like crazy. So 13% average growth, 3,000 employees, 1 billion turnover in 2019. So quite some resources, quite some demand on the market. People want to see this. They like it. It's very authentic. And it's also, as mentioned, it's authentic. So for example, when you see these trucks that look at, I want to repair your jacket, send it over for free. I'm going to repair it. It's going to, last for another 10 years because the material is amazing. So that is something that certainly is something to consider. So that would be it in terms of, how to innovate the business model. And what are the options? You will have the graphic also on the 3 categories and on the 10 elements on the sheet. And with this, I will just quickly go to the assignment of today, which is which area of your business do you lack consistency in? Yeah, which area of your business do you lack consistency in? And how do you want to tackle this? So this is very, very simple. Of course, if you have innovating ideas or, some inspiration that you think, okay, this element, I mean, you mentioned something, I mean, now Rich, after this call or anybody in the comments or utilize the reaction buttons, whatever is relevant for you. I mean, is there any ideas that, you gathered or brought you maybe to new thoughts that you can include?
I'll give people the opportunity to have a little chat, but if not,
yeah.
I'll just tell you on my side. Yeah, I mean, Patagonia, what a business. I love Patagonia, and looking at what they do continually is just, fantastic. They make some of their jumpers out of used fishing line. So it's collecting a waste material that is potentially dangerous to sea life and making a product that is durable and can use for a long time. They then take clothes back and repair it and resell it. I mean, fantastic. You can't buy shares in Patagonia, so they're off the market. Their business structure is very horizontal rather than hierarchy. They're really radical. I really like them. They started 1% for the Planet, the charity, so it's a donation. We use it. We're donating 3% of our revenue towards sustainable causes. 1% we do through 1% for the charity. So it's a way that you can donate to charities that have an environmental vision, and you can use the 1% for the Planet emblem on your marketing to show that you are not greenwashing. You are doing what you're saying, and really. I love Patagonia, everything that they do, like I'm really impressed by. What you're talking about, packaging, it's something that we're trying to solve at the moment. So we're going through drop shipping method is what we're doing. So instead of products coming to a warehouse and then we're sending them out, what we're trying to do is order the products that we require for the day and getting them sent directly to site. And that has reduced our petrol consumption in delivery. So
how much? Do you have a number?
We are currently in the process of recording all of this. I think it's a really good point. To reduce, you need to record, and that is something that I've tried to instill. That it's all well and good saying, oh, we do recycle everything. We don't, we do reuse this, but we need to be able to evidence that to prove it, and then you need to start recording to be able to reduce. So that is something that we're implementing right now. Inherently, I know that we're saving petrol miles, but
yeah, sure. I mean, it's just out of curiosity. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Super. So Rich, many thanks for your time. Also to anybody on the call who is listening. And hopefully you'll get some value out of this that will help you to grow your business, and see you potentially on the next or following Frogeex online challenge, or just online. We're going to have a business bootcamp next week. So for anybody who is interested, it's going to be all around business mindset, goals, going deep into sales, into objection handling, etc. And we're going to have a special session also on marketing communication, especially greenwashing, greenhushing, and innovation in the end, and bioeconomy. What does it mean for businesses when we are heading towards that journey, destination, whatever it is? So I wish you, yeah, exciting times for sure. That's what we live in. And yeah, it was a great pleasure to see you, Rich, on this call. And to everybody, thanks a lot for your attention, for being with us. Drop your comments whenever you come across. And yeah, looking forward to see you on the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Thanks so much, Adriana. See you again soon. Bye.